Imagine this: archaeologists uncover a strange stone disk with 3 curved blades inside an Egyptian tomb. It's 5,000 years old, yet it looks like a part from some futuristic machine. What is it? A piece of an ancient mechanism, part of a ritual vessel, or even a component of alien technology? Today, we tell the story of the Sabu Disk, a unique artifact of ancient Egypt, and try to uncover its mystery. The story of the Sabu Disk begins in 1936, when British Egyptologist Walter Bryan Emery was excavating ancient necropolises in Saqqara. In one of the mastabas, numbered S3111, which belonged to a high-ranking official of the First Dynasty named Sabu, Emery made a truly astonishing discovery. In the central burial chamber, next to Sabu's bones, he found an unusual circular object, the very disk we now call the Sabu Disk. The archaeological context made the discovery even more significant. Sabu was believed to be a son of Pharaoh Anadjib of the First Dynasty and an influential courtier. His tomb is dated to around 3000 BCE, the dawn of the ancient Egyptian state. In the tomb, alongside other items, lay clay vessels and this mysterious disk. At first, no one could tell what it was. It's important to note that the disk was found broken into several pieces, possibly damaged in antiquity or by tomb raiders. Emery's team carefully collected the fragments and later restored the object by gluing the parts together. After restoration, scientists saw a disk about 61 centimeters in diameter and 10.6 centimeters tall, carved from gray-black schist. It had shallow rims, and from the edges to the center curved 3 elegant thin blades, converging on a central cylindrical hub. In form, it resembles a 3-spoked wheel or even a fan impeller. Archaeologists had never seen anything like it, a unique design for Egypt's earliest dynastic age. The material of the disk, brittle schist, is extremely hard to shape. And yet, its blades are so precisely and symmetrically carved. To make such an object 5,000 years ago, when tools were mostly stone or soft copper, was an incredible challenge. Still, the ancient craftsmen succeeded. The edges are thin, the curves smooth and exact. This reflects the outstanding skill of Egypt's early artisans. On close inspection, the disk's shape is not perfectly round, likely due to manual restoration. There's slight asymmetry. Researchers also noted strange dark marks on the hub and blades. Some suggested soot, hinting the disk might have been used in high temperatures. Others believed the stains came from museum treatment or properties of the stone itself. In any case, the Sabu Disk raised more questions than answers. Since its discovery, scholars and enthusiasts have proposed many theories about the Sabu Disk's purpose. Traditional theories, suggested by Emery and other Egyptologists, were cautious. Emery thought it might be some ceremonial bowl or container placed on a stand, suggested by the central hole. But no stand or vessel traces were found in the tomb. Early reports called it a mysterious vessel, while engineer William Kay imagined it as a 3-flame lamp on a ritual stand, capable of burning with 3 flames at once. But this too lacks solid proof. Other traditional views saw the disk as purely decorative, or a piece of furniture with no functional role. Given the fragility of the stone, it makes sense that it was made not for use, but for beauty or symbolism. Indeed, similar thin-walled stone vessels of unusual shapes are known to Egyptologists. Possibly, the Sabu Disk was part of a larger ritual item, or a symbolic offering with sacred meaning. Yet theories didn't stop there. As the disk's mystery grew, alternative ideas appeared, some quite bold. Some noted that the shape resembles modern mechanical parts. For example, a bladed wheel, pump impeller, or turbine all share visual similarities with the Sabu Disk. At first glance, 3 curved vanes attached to a central hub do look like a high-pressure pump rotor. This led to a suggestion: maybe it was part of an ancient pump, perhaps centrifugal. Of course, the idea of high-tech pumps in 3000 BCE sounds almost fantastic, but enthusiasts point to the obvious resemblance. One only needs to see a modern impeller to notice the striking similarity. For example, there was a theory that the disk was mounted horizontally and rotated, helping to stir a brew, for example, in beer brewing, or redistribute grain and liquid. However, these ideas are again challenged by the fragility of the material. The only known disk is made of stone, which would simply crack under serious load or constant movement. And why such mechanisms in early Egypt, the question remains. A special place is taken by the hypothesis of the Sabu disk as a prototype of the wheel. It is known that the wheel appeared in Egypt much later, around 1500 BCE. If the Sabu disk turned out to be a wheel or its model, it would overturn our understanding of technological history. But Egyptologists are skeptical. First, no chariot or cart from the First Dynasty has been found, and second, a stone wheel would be impractical, too fragile for transport. Thus, the wheel theory is considered unlikely, though intriguing. And finally, the most exotic theories. Thanks to popularizers of alternative history, the Sabu disk has gained fame as a possible artifact of extraterrestrial technology. Some have claimed that the ancient Egyptians might have seen or even possessed technologies ahead of their time, and that the Sabu disk allegedly confirms this. Supporters of the ancient astronaut theory suggested that the disk is nothing more than a stone copy of a metal flywheel from some device, perhaps an alien engine. Science fiction writers imagined it might have been part of a flying craft or an energy generator left by another civilization. Of course, none of these guesses are supported by evidence or accepted by science, but in popular culture they have added to the artifact's mystique. Thus, the disk from the Egyptian tomb also became a star of alternative history. Naturally, scholars treat the mystery with caution. Orthodox Egyptology acknowledges the unique form of the Sabu disk but stresses the lack of direct evidence for any technical function. No records or images of the object in use have been found. Therefore, ritual or decorative interpretations still prevail, while all machine theories remain speculative. But to test some of them in practice, our team decided to conduct its own experiment. Before moving on to the tests, a few words about the present fate of the original Sabu disk. After its discovery, it was carefully restored in a laboratory, thin fragments were glued, cracks reinforced. Now, looking at the exhibit, it is hard to imagine that it once lay in the ground broken into pieces. Thanks to restoration, we can see the disk almost in its original form. Despite its great age, it looks whole and impressive. Today, the mysterious artifact is kept in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo and displayed for the public. The display case bears an inventory label with the number JE71295, and the disk is slightly lit to show its curved blades better. Museum visitors stop before it in puzzlement. Neither the description nor the name of the exhibit gives any answer to what it was used for. It is truly one of the most baffling artifacts of early Egypt. Fortunately, the museum allows photography, and thanks to this, the image of the disk has spread all over the world. Researchers, engineers, and mystery lovers have been able to study its shape and structure from photos and drawings. And some have even dared to recreate the Sabu disk themselves, in full size and scale, to test hypotheses. We became interested in this too. To contribute to solving the mystery, our team decided to make a reduced copy of the Sabu disk and test it in action. First, we carefully studied all available drawings and photographs of the artifact. Fortunately, today it is possible to create an exact copy, which we printed on a 3D printer in reduced scale, about 10 centimeters in diameter. Despite the compact size, the model exactly reproduces the original shape, 3 curved blades, a central hub, all proportions preserved. The material was strong plastic, since carving such a disc from stone would be too labor-intensive and the risk of breaking too high. The plastic copy is of course lighter than the original, but exactly reproduces its form, 3 curved blades, a central cylinder, smooth curves. Why did we make this copy? To test 2 of the most intriguing technical hypotheses, a pump and a fan. In other words, to see if the Sabu disk could pump water or air when rotated. Some enthusiasts claimed that this was precisely its purpose, as a pump impeller able to create liquid flow, or as a fan rotor to force air. We decided to check this experimentally. For the experiment, we built a simple setup. We mounted our plastic disc on the shaft of an electric motor so it could be spun at high speed. Our first test was conducted in the air. We wanted to see if the disc could act like a fan or a propeller, pushing air and creating thrust. To make it more visible, we used smoke. As the disc spun, smoke was sucked into the center from one side and expelled outward from the other, forming a distinctive radial flow. It was clear that the blades captured the air and twisted it around. However, as a real fan, the disc performed weakly. It didn't create a strong directed flow forward. Our experiment confirmed that there was no true thrust, only turbulent mixing and side dispersion of air and smoke. Soon, we plan to run a water test. There's a small technical issue for now. We need to improve the motor's sealing to make the system stable. As soon as it's fixed, we'll spin the disc and test it in action. Support us with a like, it'll help us release the video faster. While we're preparing the water test, let's take a look at experiments by internet enthusiasts. Many have already tested the Sabu Disk in motion, and the results are impressive. Water forms a powerful vortex, the blades create flow, and with a housing, the disc acts nearly like a real pump. In a closed shell, a replica of the Sabu Disk was shown to move water, producing significant pressure. We could literally see water gushing from the output pipe, driven by the spinning blades. Amazingly, the impeller theory was partly confirmed. In artificial conditions, the disc functioned like a pump wheel. But this behavior fits perfectly with another version. The Sabu Disk might have been an air pump for a furnace. When spinning, it could supply air into the firebox, enhancing combustion and raising the temperature. This principle is seen in forge bellows and centrifugal blowers. In ancient Egypt, such a mechanism could help melt bronze, copper, or maybe even process harder materials at high heat. So, how did we react to these experiments? Honestly, we were thrilled to see this ancient shape come alive in motion. When the vortex swirled beneath our mini Sabu Disk, our team cheered. It felt like we glimpsed a secret of First Dynasty technology. Yet the results made us think. Yes, the disc can act as a pump, but only when housed and spun at high speeds. This raises the question, could the Egyptians have had a machine using such a wheel? It's doubtful, since we know of no pumps or engines from that time. Perhaps the Sabu Disk was shaped like an impeller, but served another purpose. Some researchers have suggested that the Egyptians carved stone models of items usually made of metal, perhaps for rituals or to accompany the dead in the afterlife. That is, the Sabu Disk could have been a symbolic imitation of a metal object, possibly one imagined by the ancients. Our water experiment shows the shape works to move liquid and air. But why was it carved from stone? The question remains. As for its use as a fan or propeller, our tests were unconvincing. Without directed airflow, it's hard to see it as part of a turbine or flying mechanism. Interestingly, the research center at Airbus has also studied the Sabu Disk. They 3D printed it and tested its aerodynamics. Engineers concluded that as a propeller or turbine, the disc is ineffective. Its symmetry prevents thrust. Still, a fun side note, when thrown or spun, it has decent flight properties, like a frisbee. If made of the right material, it could even serve as a projectile. But of course, there's no sign the Egyptians played frisbee with sacred artifacts. Our team experienced a mix of emotions while working on this project. On one hand, touching a mystery 5 millennia old, recreating it with our own hands and seeing it function, it's breathtaking. Goosebumps come when you realize, maybe the last time the Sabu Disk spun was during Sabu's own life, and now we've made it spin again, even as a replica. On the other hand, we felt even more the unsolved nature of this artifact. Every answer led to more questions. If the disc was a ritual lamp, why such a complex shape? If it was a decorative object, why was it placed in the center of the burial chamber, like something important? If it was a prototype of a mechanism, where is the mechanism itself, or any records of it? The Sabu Disk remains a mystery, bridging science and imagination, past and present. We traced its journey from the dark tomb of Prince Sabu to the display case of the Cairo Museum, learned the story of its discovery, and saw how complex it is. We delved into a maze of hypotheses, from quite grounded to wildly speculative. We even made our own replica and gave the disc a second life in experiments, testing it in action. The results were impressive. The shape of the disc really can move water and create vortices. Perhaps the Sabu Disk is both a work of art and engineering, born at the intersection of function and ritual. It inspires admiration for the craftsmanship of the ancient Egyptians and, at the same time, leaves us puzzling over their intentions. It's the perfect artifact for science entertainment research. It is beautiful, enigmatic, and invites hands-on exploration and debate. Nearly 90 years have passed since it was found, yet we still don't know everything about it. Future breakthroughs, new methods of material analysis, new archaeological discoveries, or bold experiments may bring more clarity. But for now, the Sabu Disk remains silent, continuing to captivate both scholars and seekers of the unknown. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the depths of history and hands-on discovery, give us a like and subscribe. There are still many amazing mysteries from the past that we'll try to uncover together. See you next time.